following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, welcome to the first episode of Sports Chatter TV. I'm your host, Evan Bedell, along with my co-host here, Steve Atkinson. And we're a show that's going to be talking about the four major professional sports, NHL, NFL, NBA, and MLB. And let's start off with the NHL playoffs that are going on right now. Currently, the Bruins and the Rangers, it's almost the end of the second period. We have a 2-1 score. Goals by Nathan Horton and Torrey Krug. And for the Rangers, they got one just a couple minutes ago. So let's go through, Steve, with the NHL playoff series. You got two series going on in the West and two going on in the East. Right. For the West, you got Detroit going against Chicago, and then you got LA versus San Jose. Let's talk about Detroit and Chicago. Obviously, Chicago had that big historic win streak this season.
Just an unbelievable start to the season, really. I mean, just breaking records, but unfortunately, it's always going to be viewed a little bit slanted due to the lockout. People are going to say, oh, you know, they had more time to practice and such. But just an unbelievable playoff series right now between them and the Red Wings.
Yeah, right now it's 2-1 Detroit. Chicago obviously won the first game. But I think Chicago, if they lose this series, the regular season, obviously, it doesn't matter. You can't once the playoffs come around, no one remembers the regular season you had.
Absolutely. And I do think that the Blackhawks are going to lose this series, and I think their Achilles heel is Crawford right now.
Yeah.
He's been playing terrible in net. He can't make a save to save his life. And he's not getting much help from his offense.
I know Crawford this year split time with their backup, Ray Emery, who I remember his historic playoff run when he was with Ottawa, and that was early 2000s. Right. That was a long time ago, but he was out of the league for a little bit. He bounced back. But Detroit, every year they're in the playoffs since mid-90s when they had Sergei Fedorov, Lidstrom, Yzerman. I mean, every year you would just assume Detroit's going to be in the playoffs. And even this year, they barely made it in, but still beating the number one seed Chicago right now, 2-1 up.
Yeah, as a seventh seed, a lot of people really look down upon the Red Wings, even though when you look at the franchise itself, people view it as a dynasty still, the same way you look at the Devils when, you know, Brodeur was in his prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for Chicago, I think that if they lose, no one cares about their regular season run. But to me, Chicago, they're almost playing down to the level of Detroit. I mean, I know Detroit obviously is a great team and all, but Chicago this year lost less than 10 games. I mean, you can't have Patrick Kane, Patrick Sharp, Jonathan Toews, all those great guys, and lose in the second round.
Absolutely. I mean, the fan base over in Chicago, they're passionate about their hockey. They thought these guys, based on the start to the season, they knew that they were going to go deep. And right now, the Wings are just really giving them a run for the money. And I mean, you got to give the Red Wings credit as well. You got Brunner, who's just playing amazing right now. He's really the star of the team.
Yeah.
In his rookie season, of course, too.
And you also can't forget about obviously Datsuk,
absolutely,
assistant captain, and there Zetterberg, first year as a captain after Lidstrom retired, who's been a captain for over 10 years.
Good decade.
So Zetterberg stepping up after that, filling some big shoes there with Lidstrom and leading them. All right, so let's go to the number 5 or 6 seed. You got LA, 5 seed, against San Jose, the 6th, tied 2-2 after LA was up 2-0. They went to San Jose, and San Jose won 2 on their home ice, and now it's tied. LA, again, being led by goalie Jonathan Quick. Right now, he's leading the playoffs goals against average, 1.64. It's unbelievable. Save percentage, 9.944. I mean, last year when LA, 8th seed, went on to win the cup. I mean,
yeah, basically a nobody.
Yeah. So LA's got a good team. They're number 5 seed, they got Kopitar, one of the best centermen in the league.
I mean, they did win the cup too.
Yeah, so, I mean, they were kind of a afterthought, I guess, in the Western Conference. They didn't have that good of a regular season, but they stepped up. In San Jose, I've been watching a little bit of that series. Really impressed by Logan Couture.
Couture's really stepped up, especially in this series. He was always a contributor in the past series, but especially now he's really flourishing. Him and Joe are just working together so well, and they're just putting the puck in the net, really.
Yeah.
And it's been the dagger in Quick's heart and the team itself.
Yeah, I mean, San Jose, you know about Jumbo Joe Thornton,
of course.
back from when he was with the Bruins. Patrick Marleau, also a Team Canada player. You got Dan Boyle on defense. I mean, they're a good team, but I don't think anyone. I mean, Couture was an All-Star last year. Yep, last year, and I mean, he wasn't the marquee guy per se on San Jose, but he's really taken the team on its back and led them so far.
Yeah, he having the overtime winner the other night as well.
Yeah,
that
was a great goal.
It was just a pretty goal right upstairs. And the team's going to feed off that and the momentum. I think they're going to end up winning this series and ultimately going to the Stanley Cup.
How many games? Do you think it's going to go to 7 games, or it's tied 2-2 right now?
I think it's going to be a 6-game series.
San Jose?
Yeah, San Jose winning it.
I know San Jose, for me, the only thing I'm worried about for them, I think San Jose is going to win it too. I think I know Quick's a great goalie, but I think San Jose has too much firepower up front. But San Jose, the only thing I worry about with them is their goalie, Niemi. When Chicago won the Cup in 2010 or 2000, I think it was 2009 against Philly, Niemi was their goalie. But, I mean, Niemi versus Quick, you're picking Quick.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I think currently right now in this series, Niemi is outplaying Quick.
Yep.
His transition is just unbelievable, and he's got the offense to support him as well when he's making those big saves. And guys can ride off that momentum too, knowing that if someone's got a breakaway and they're coming down, you got faith that he's going to make the save.
Yep.
And
that's tough against. I mean, Quick's top 5 goalie in the league.
Absolutely.
He's probably top 15. Maybe?
If that.
All right, let's go on to the Eastern Conference here. We got number 1 seed Pittsburgh, powerhouse the past couple years, versus the scrappy number 7 seed Ottawa. Pitt's leading the series 3-1 after they just crushed Ottawa last night, 7-3.
Yeah, they beat them to a pulp. I mean, nobody really thought the Sens were going to make it this far anyway.
Yeah.
But right now, the Achilles heel for the Penguins is Fleury.
Oh, yep.
He
was, I remember when he got drafted, not all those years ago, within the past 7 years, he was selected top 10. He was their franchise goaltender.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, he's a good goaltender, but they yanked him in the first round. They put in Vaucoon, and Vaucoon's been leading the team. I mean, for Fleury, just looking ahead to next year, you got to think Pittsburgh, if they're going to deal him, let him walk, if he's going to stay. I mean,
in my opinion, I would get rid of him, free up the space, because he is easily the worst playoff goaltender that there is.
Yeah.
I mean, in 2009 when they won the Stanley Cup, they were riding on Sidney Crosby and just Malkin, guys who can put the puck in the net. Mm-hmm. And since then, he's in the playoffs. He's consistently had an under 90% goal or save percentage.
Yeah.
And when you compare that against guys like at the time Thomas and Quick, of course, who are in the upper 90s, it's just embarrassing. Mm-hmm. And it's really bringing the team down.
Yeah. I mean, right now for playoffs, Crosby's leading all the players with 7 goals. And, I mean, him and Malkin are both in the top 3 in points. Crosby has 14 points, and Malkin has also has 14. So, I mean, they're the superstars for Pittsburgh are producing.
And it doesn't hurt that they picked up Iginla as well. I mean, he put in 2 last night. I think James Neal did as well. Really just beat up on the Sens and Anderson.
I think they have the best top 2 forward lines in the league. They got top 6 forwards. You got Kunitz, who had top 3 in the league in goals.
Yep.
You got Evgeny Malkin, superstar. Crosby, face of the league. I think the best player
poster
in the
boy
league.
for hockey almost.
Yep. And then you got Iginla, Neal, And then you got Pascal Dupuis, the old Grizzly vet. He still produces. He's late 30s, and that's old for the NHL. So you got to give it up for their top 6 forwards. But for Ottawa, I mean, just to make it in the playoffs, they had so many injuries. Their coach,
They've been
McLean,
plagued.
up for Coach of the Year. I think he should win it. But, I mean, I just don't think they stand a chance against Pittsburgh, to be honest.
And I think at this point in the series, they don't want it. In an interview last night with Alfredson, when they asked about the chances of coming back, he himself said probably not. Just the depth in the power play of the Penguins right now, it doesn't look too good for us. So when you have a captain, a veteran, a leader on your team who has no faith that you're going to rally, it brings down the whole morale, and I think they've already lost the series.
Yeah, but I mean that's still a good series to watch. Moving on to my favorite series so far, we got we got the Bruins versus the Rangers, which is currently going on right now. It's the end of the second, 2-1 Bees, looking for the sweep, bringing the Brooms out 4-0 here. But Bruins just to make it to this round series, Game 7, first round against Toronto. Were you watching? Just
Of course. Bruins my favorite team as well. I was disappointed that it even went to 7 games, but you got to give credit to the Maple Leafs as well. I mean, they just really stepped up, riding on Kessel and the other performers.
Yeah, JVR, James Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just riding off those guys. The Bruins, after Game 2, were playing sloppy. They thought they were going to possibly sweep the Leafs, and they backed down. They started playing Toronto's game, and really just messed with the Bruins' heads. But I think that dramatic Game 7 overtime win is going to be huge in the Bruins' future success.
Yep, that was the best and craziest hockey game I've ever seen, probably. But for the Rangers, Lundqvist, I think top 2 goalie in the league.
Absolutely.
Always up for the Vezina,
MVP.
for the goalie of the year. And scratch tonight in Game 4. Superstar, supposedly. I think he's still a great player. Brad Richards makes over $6.5 million a year. Supposed to be one of their top 2 forwards, assistant captain. They brought in Rick Nash this offseason from Columbus. Supposed to team him up. Richards more of a playmaker, Nash more of a power forward.
He's a finisher.
And Richards, Tortorella, the coach, scratches him.
Yeah, gave him the cup for tonight. Yeah, I mean, Richards, he's not hurt. He's perfectly healthy. He's just been underperforming.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't been clicking with his line mates at all.
Yep.
And, I mean...
He's in the press box tonight, which is never fun if you're a hockey player.
Yeah.
And he's only had, let's see, he's a minus 3 in the playoffs. So which means he's been on the ice 3 times. The other team scored, so he's a minus 3. I mean, you can't, if you're considered an assistant captain on a team, a leader of the team, you can't be underperforming in the playoffs.
Of course
if you're
not.
a player of that caliber.
Especially if it's the second round against, your rival, the Boston Bruins. And him and Hagelin as well.
Oh.
Hagelin, who Tortorella cut from the power play.
Yep, that's never fun too. But Hagelin, he's a great player, but I think the Bees, they're up 2-1 going to third here. I think they go for the sweep, reminiscent of the 2011 Stanley Cup run when they swept second round against Philly, knock on wood.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that series goes. But for me, main question going in the playoffs for the Bruins, Tuukka Rask. I mean, people don't like to talk about Tim Thomas, but he led him on that run. Tuukka, to me, is a better, not style-wise, but more sound in his goaltending. His style is less Dominic Hasek like Thomas, and more, it makes every save look easy compared to Thomas.
He plays a much more orthodox style of hockey. I mean, Thomas, he would be flopping around. He would even have the occasional body check out there. But ultimately, I wouldn't want anybody else in the net. Anton Khudobin hasn't performed well. I mean, we pulled them up. He did all right in the regular season, but going into the playoffs, I want Tuukka.
Tuukka time?
It's Tuukka time.
Yep. And I think the big question another question with Tuukka was, do they give him a big contract before the season? Do they wait, see how he does? I think, he's going to get the big contract this offseason, despite, I mean,
his performance alone, he's deserved it.
Even if they don't go to the Cup, I think he still deserves it. And got to talk about my favorite player in the league, David Krejci. Leading the league in the playoffs so far, 16 points, as the most
silky
assists
hands
with
out
11.
there.
I mean, that first line with him, Lucic, Horton, he's just a playmaker in that line.
They're lights out. I mean, when you look at a player like that getting a hat trick in a game in the playoffs, it's a big deal, and your players pick up on that, and your line mates as well.
Yep. So I've been really impressed. So just out of all 4 series, who's been your most surprising, or in a good way, or disappointing player out of all the teams?
Let's see. Disappointing. It's got to be Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, going into the playoffs, you want him to perform well. You know that the Penguins are going to go deep. But when you have a goaltender who just consistently doesn't play well in the playoffs, I mean, under 90% save percentage, it's just embarrassing. And in the regular season, he was making unbelievable saves and just helping the Penguins go deep, really. And now he's a sieve out there.
Yep. So for me, most disappointing player out of all, you got to go with Tyler Seguin. I mean,
absolutely.
He's 21, same age as you and me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine playing the NHL playoffs right now.
Especially not.
But if you get picked second overall and you have no goals in the playoffs, both series, nothing.
I believe he's a -2 right now.
And it's not like he's fast, one of the arguably fastest players on the team with Daniel Paille.
Yes, Paille.
He's working hard. He's just, I mean, you expect more of your goal scorer, basically.
Well, just going off last season alone, I mean, he had 6 points in the Tampa Bay series.
Yeah.
People thought this kid is going to be an absolute superstar for the franchise. And now, we're in the same spot again, and he's just consistently underperforming. I think it's his shot right now, really. He's not picking corners like he used to. He's putting the puck directly into the goaltender's chest.
That breakaway.
Not even getting a rebound.
That breakaway Tuesday night, perfect example. Breakaway against Lundqvist. I mean, hard to score on him, but you're Seguin. You're expecting to score. I mean, he does a good deep, but Lundqvist stops him, and you got to feel for the kid. I mean, you can tell he's snake bitten right now, but
struggling.
You feel bad. I mean, you do, but he's got to produce. I mean, fans are getting on him. You had the Maple Leaf series. You had the thank you Kessel because we traded Kessel. And then you got draft picks back. You picked Hamilton. I mean, you picked Seguin. Then you picked Dougie Hamilton, the other rookie defenseman. And you're getting thank you, Kessel, sarcastic chance. And then Kessel outperformed Seguin. And both basically the same player, both snipers.
There's not too much you can say. I mean, Kessel had 2 goals in the series. Finally ended his snake-bitten run with the Bruins, actually scoring against his former team. But Seguin just been an absolute disappointment. I mean, he's been demoted too. He's not even on the same line.
Yeah, he's on the third line now with Peverly and Chris Kelly.
Playing with different guys. I mean, you're not going to click automatically, but those guys, Kelly especially, they're playmakers and they can get the ball rolling.
Yep.
And Seguin's just not putting the puck home.
I mean, yep. You just hope he steps up here. But so give us a Stanley Cup prediction. Who do you think is going to be in it from the West, from the East, and who do you think is going to win the Stanley Cup this year?
Well, I got to be a little bit biased here. I think it's going to be the Bruins.
Okay.
In the East right now, I believe it's going to be the Penguins and the Bruins competing to go to the Stanley Cup. I think with Fleury and net, the Penguins are going to underestimate the Bruins because the Penguins are a much faster, quicker team. Bruins are more physical. I think that the Bruins, when they actually play up to their speed and make the checks, they'll be able to slow those guys down. They'll be able to eliminate Crosby. I mean, just put Chara on Crosby alone.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to shut him down and ultimately win the series. So from the East, I think it's going to be the Bruins. From the West, right now, I think it's going to be San Jose. Just with Joe and Logan right now, these guys are playing out of their minds. Just some of the best hockey I've ever seen, and they're just embarrassing quick.
Yep. I have to agree with you. From the East, next round, I think it's going to be Bruins versus Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's a good team, but I got to be a little biased here. I think the Bruins I'll say 6. Shaky Pittsburgh goaltending. I think the Bruins do it. I think Seguin, if they make it the next series, I think Seguin steps it up feel a big series coming from him. From the West, next round, I got to go with Chicago. I think they got too much firepower for Detroit, even though Detroit's up 2-1.
Even with Crawford in that.
Even with Crawford, I mean, I like him. I think he's good enough for them to beat Detroit. And from the other, I think it's going to be Chicago versus. I got to go with LA.
Really?
I think Jonathan Quick is a great goaltender. And last time I dealt with them last season as an 8 seed, they won the Cup. And then Stanley Cup, I'm going to have to go with my Bruins. And I'm actually going to go with the LA Kings again over Chicago.
Really?
I think the Bruins going to win in 7. Just going to be bold. I think that's going to happen.
I also think it'll be a 7-game series.
So you got
just cutthroat hockey.
Bruins versus San Jose in the finals?
7 games.
I got Bruins versus LA.
Bruins winning it.
All right, so moving on. Still talking hockey here, but we're going to go a little bit outside the NHL. Most people didn't see this, but they had the International World Hockey Tournament where you got like Team USA, Team Canada.
Right,
obviously not the Olympics, but still a big deal. Team Canada's Eric Stahl got the worst leg check I've ever seen by Sweden's Alex Edler, who plays for Vancouver. Stahl's the captain of Carolina, arguably one of the top centermen in the league, and he's going to be out for 3 months.
Just an absolutely vicious knee-to-knee hit. I don't even know what Edler was thinking there. I believe it was intentional. Just absolutely gruesome, and you hate to see it happen to Stahl, a guy who's plagued by injuries consistently.
I mean, his reaction alone, I thought his career's over. I mean, that was a dirty leg check, obviously, and you just hate to see a player go down like that. Luckily, he doesn't have to get surgery, but out for 3 months. I mean, he'll probably miss a little bit regular season time.
How do you think his play will be coming back? I mean, from a knee injury especially.
I mean, it's going to be tough because obviously he's skating. He's a big guy, 6'4", 225, but he's quick. He's quick for a big power forward. Definitely. And, I mean, when he plays for Team Canada in the Olympics, top 2 lines, he's on them. So
they're looking for him out there.
Yep. So you feel bad for him. And then San Jose, guy always seems to get suspended. Rafi Torres, every year, seems like he's on a different team.
This guy.
What was 2011? He was on Vancouver.
Yep.
Last year, Phoenix.
Yep.
This year, San Jose. This year, suspended for the whole series after the first game against LA.
Just 3 consecutive seasons getting suspended for the exact same play. Head contact.
Yep.
This guy is just a goon. I hate when he's on the ice. I really do. I mean, in 2010, going after Eberle, head contact, suspended him for 4 games. And then, of course, you have that disgusting hit against Hossa, who he had to be taken off the ice on a stretcher. Although he didn't get a penalty on that play, ultimately he was suspended 25 games. He appealed it, and now with this latest installment, I hate. It's just dirty hockey.
Yeah.
And I hate that type of play.
He's known around the league as one of those guys. You love him if he's on your team, but if he's on your team, you hate him because you hate to play against him. He gets under your skin.
He's a pest.
Dirty player. He's a pest. That's really what he is. And you hate to see, obviously, I don't think he's intentionally trying to hurt these players. Obviously, you never want to miss a game. But
I'm going to disagree with you. I think he is.
You think he's doing it on purpose?
I think he is. Just because looking at the replays, he has a perfect amount of time to adjust his stance and make shoulder contact. But instead, he stays on his arc, and he contacts the head. He does. He goes for it every time. And you just looking at the reaction of the fans, the players on the ice, and the refs as well, you know what he's doing out there. Yeah. And he's just a vicious player, and he just wants to hurt guys, I think.
All right. I disagree. I don't think any players out there is trying to hurt anyone, but I can see what you're saying. I mean, he's got a reputation around the league. He's been suspended a bunch of times, and I'm glad he's done for the series. See some good hockey. All right. Vancouver fires their coach, Alain Vigneault, after, so-so season, made it in the playoffs. But, they had a goalie controversy this year. You got Roberto Luongo, who's been in the league for what seems forever. He's been the guy up there, gets all the criticism heaped on him. He's a good goalie. I don't think he's that good of a goalie. Crumbles in the playoffs. And then they had the third year, fourth year, out of Boston College goalie, Corey Schneider,
Corey
great
Schneider, yeah.
goaltender. And they're trying to trade Luongo mid-season. They can't trade him, and now their coach is gone.
I think the nail in the coffin was getting swept.
Yep.
It's just embarrassing, and Vancouver, after that devastating loss in the Stanley Cup, they're itching to get back to the Stanley Cup, and getting swept, it's just embarrassing. And whenever that happens, somebody's got to go.
Yeah.
And
It's usually the coach, no players.
It's a coaching area.
Go. Mm-hmm. All right, you want to talk some football?
Yeah, let's change it up.
All
a little
right.
bit.
NFL draft happened a little over a month ago, and for me, New England Patriots fan, you as well.
Yes.
Nothing really special.
No, it always seems to happen that way. I'd give them a grade of a B-.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really pick too many stars. They pick great fundamental players, but nobody that you really see a lot of highlights from.
Mm-hmm.
But when Belichick, you got to give him credit. When he picks these guys, he knows what he's doing.
Do we trust?
Absolutely, absolutely. And he just, he picks these guys so specifically, and he picks guys that really can transition into the bigs.
Mm-hmm. They always have that one pick, it seems like, that no one knows about.
Yep.
No one had him on their draft board. Mel Kiper scratching his head.
Yeah.
They always have it. But for me, big surprise. Florida State quarterback E.J. Manuel goes to the Bills, 12th overall. He was projected second, third round pick. Wasn't
He's
even
top 5.
Yep. Top-rated quarterback Matt Barkley goes, I think, third round. He goes he goes third round. And then Geno Smith, the top-rated quarterback before the draft, goes to the Jets.
To the Jets, unfortunately.
Yep.
Which seems to be a quarterback graveyard these days.
Yes, you got Geno Smith there. You got, obviously, Mark Sanchez, as they called him at the beginning. They probably regret that. And then you had David Garrard, who everyone said was, opening eyes, the Grizzly vet, and he retires because of injury. So now it's basically, it looks like Sanchez's job.
You can't forget Tebow as well.
Yep.
Got completely underutilized.
Mm-hmm. So, you got to feel bad for the Jets. But going back to the Patriots, Gronkowski had to get another fourth surgery on the forearm.
Fourth surgery.
It wasn't for an infection. They said the infection's gone now.
They replaced the plate in there as well.
So, you hope he gets back on the field this season. Obviously, key contributor. It opens up the whole offense for the Patriots.
I think having a healthy Gronk and with Hernandez back too, it's really going to fill the void that was left by Welker. Tough to see him go, but I understand the move. But I think we'll still be all right with Gronk and Hernandez connecting with Brady, of course.
Yeah, I hope he comes back. They said they saw something with his back, but, we don't really know. So we'll see how he does. But did you hear about the Pro Bowl, which no one really watches. And the funny thing about that, they're talking about, an article came out today or yesterday saying that they're thinking about to, have more people watch the Pro Bowl and no one really watches and make the players actually try in the game. They're thinking about doing like a schoolyard, a little 2 captains, and you throw the Pro Bowlers out there and you pick one from each. So I was thinking we do a little Pro Bowl selection ourselves with the skill positions from last year's Pro Bowl roster, so 2013. So
I really welcome this schoolyard picking as well. Just look at the NHL and how much
that's what the NHL does.
The All-Star game
fun.
has really brought in fans. So I welcome this move.
So for your quarterback, there's no AFC and NFC. There's just 2 captains. So you got your pick of quarterbacks from both. And who would you pick for your quarterback?
First overall pick, I'm going to go with Green Bay's Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers? Okay. Any reason? Just a great quarterback.
Just a great quarterback. They gave him a huge extension. He's the highest paid quarterback in NFL history now. You can't ignore that. The guy's a Super Bowl contender. He's just unbelievable, so I got to go with him.
All right. You got Rodgers, so I'm going to have to go with a sort of risky pick. This is when he was healthy. Before the knee injury. So I'm going to have to go with RG3, Robert Griffin III.
Really?
Because I'll just spread offense now in NFL. That's what it's going to. You don't really see me. You got RG3, you got San Francisco, Kaepernick, and you got Seattle. Not really spread, but still a little bit spread. Russell Wilson.
Yep.
who was a Pro Bowl last year too. So I'll have to go with RG3. I hope he's healthy for this season. But
Yeah, I mean, the coach is really urging him to throw more as well.
Yeah.
Too, so
take that pressure off his running so he doesn't get injured. So
still liking my pick though.
okay, so who you got to go with for running back?
Running back, I mean, this probably goes without saying. Aaron Foster, Houston.
Texans?
Got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to do it. I mean, the guy, he'll juke you out of your jock.
Yep, he's a great player. He's got the little, into the, after he scores, which is always
Of course,
cool.
the celebration.
So for running back, this is tough. I'm gonna have to go with. He did great for fantasy last year, so I'm a little biased. C.J. Spiller out of Buffalo. I remember watching him when he was at Clemson University. Mm-hmm. He ran like a sub 4.3 in the draft. So I mean, he's got blazing speed, and he doesn't shy away from contact. He's going to be the feature running back on Buffalo this season, so I'm expecting big things, and I just like the way he plays. I'm going to have to go with Spiller. So who you got for 2 wide receivers?
2 wide receivers, all right. First, I'm going to go with Julio Jones from the Falcons.
Oh.
I mean, for me personally, I had no idea the Falcons were going to make it as deep as they did.
Mm-hmm. They're a great team this year.
They were, and especially with Matt Ryan, too. But Julio Jones, the guy can just get monster yardage, and when he has that hole, he can carry the ball. Mm-hmm. So I'm absolutely going with Julio Jones.
Who do you got for your other wide receiver here?
Andre Johnson.
Texans?
Absolutely. I'm a little bit partial to Houston. I always, especially with Foster.
Yeah.
These guys, they're fun to watch, and they can put up big numbers.
Okay. For me, I'm glad you didn't take him. I'm going to have to go with Megatron, Calvin Johnson out of Detroit. They just said that he was playing with, they didn't say it was broken, but probably broken fingers this past season where he broke all those records. He's just a physical freak, just an athlete. And then second, I'm going to have to go with another just absolute giant on the field. 2 big wide receivers for me. Brandon Marshall out of Chicago, who Cutler throws him the ball. Seems like 20 times a game. The only wide receiver.
Throwing up jump
balls. But he's just a man among children out there when you put him out there solo, one-on-one. So I'm going to have to go with those 2. So who do you got for your last skill position here, your 1 tight end?
My tight end, I'm going to be biased. My favorite team, especially if he's healthy, Gronk. Rob Gronkowski. I have to do it. I mean, the guy, again, just puts up monster numbers, and Brady knows how to find him. And it takes at least 3 guys to take him down. His rookie season, just huge reception numbers, touchdown numbers too. I got to go with Gronk.
That's a good choice. I mean, for tight ends, for me it's slim pickings besides Gronk, but I'm gonna have to go with the unanimous Hall of Famer when he retires, Tony Gonzalez.
Absolutely.
All those years in Kansas City, puts up yards after yards, stay there forever, keeps doing it when he goes to Atlanta. Matt Ryan loves him in the red zone.
Oh, yeah.
Feeds him the ball whenever he gets it.
Reception monster.
Yes, and got the crazy dunk when every time he gets a touchdown.
Gotta love the celebrations.
So I'm gonna have to go with Tony Gonzalez there. So I mean, if they do this for the Pro Bowl, what we just did, I'd watch it.
Absolutely.
Schoolyard,
Absolutely.
Who's going to be picked last, how they're going to feel.
These are superstars going head-to-head.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you have superstars going to the Pro Bowl anyway.
Yeah.
But just seeing these flashy players go against each other, it'd be fun to watch.
All right, I just want to touch right before we transition to a little bit of NBA. This article I saw, Michael Vick, okay? Obviously, everyone knows who Michael Vick is, quarterback for the Eagles. Before that, the Falcons.
Yep.
And been in the NFL 10 years, 10-year NFL veteran. And they fired in, Eagles fired Andy Reid. They brought in Chip Kelly from Oregon. And Michael Vick, in a Yahoo Sports article, Michael Vick says that this was the first time he's ever been taught. Chip Kelly was the first coach to ever tell him how to properly carry a football. That's unbelievable to me. 10 years.
I don't know if I believe this.
Plays at Virginia Tech, so probably played football, Pop Warner, all the way up. No one ever taught him how to carry a football. That's unbelievable.
I feel like this has to be for publicity. I mean, this guy, he's your go-to guy for the QB bootleg. I mean, he's just got so much speed. I just refuse to believe he would play his entire life and not know how to carry a football.
I mean, every time you see him run, he's got the football out here.
He
Like
likes
he's,
he likes to palm it. He goes with one hand.
Like most quarterbacks, I mean, some of them do that. But, I mean, he says
Kaepernick.
that. Yep, Kaepernick from San Francisco. Vic, so first time ever. I can't believe it. Do you believe it?
I really don't. I mean.
Do you think he was joking?
I do. I mean, I think, like I said, I think it was a publicity stunt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're gonna call yourself a professional quarterback, okay? And you don't know how to carry the football.
Unbelievable.
I can't fathom that. I really can't.
All right, let's talk a little bit of NBA here. You know, the NBA playoffs going on. Heat versus Pacers. And then you got Grizzlies versus San Antonio Spurs. Let's talk a little bit about the Heat. My favorite team, Celtics.
Of course.
The Heat, LeBron going for the second ring. What do you think his chances are?
I mean, the guy had his 7th career triple-double last night, or in the season too. And he's just playing basketball that's out of this world, honestly. And, you know, he wants the ring. He's sick of all the haters saying, "Oh, you'll never be MJ. You won't be without the rings." And he's just playing unbelievable basketball.
He is a man among boys. He's coming out of high school.
Yeah.
He was
straight to the bigs.
He was touted as the next Michael Jordan. I remember watching him games on ESPN. They televised when he was in high school out of St. Vincent's Mary's out of Akron, Ohio. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. And I mean, I think they're the best team. They brought in Ray Allen this season.
Yep.
And they're just
great
loaded.
asset.
Hopefully Dwayne Wade, he's a little bit injured, but they think he'll come back.
Bosh.
It
doesn't get much better than that, really.
I agree. I mean, it really doesn't. And speaking of Michael Jordan, I think is he the owner or part-time owner of the Bob Charlotte? Well, I don't. What do you call him that? Charlotte.
Right now, I'm just gonna call him Charlotte.
Yeah, because
they're in a transition stage.
Okay, so if anyone doesn't know, they used to be the Charlotte Hornets, and then they went back. Then Jordan went there. They went to the Bobcats, and all of a sudden, now they're going back to the Hornets again. So they keep changing their team name, which is just odd to me. You think you try to establish a fan base with one name?
Honestly.
You don't see, Boston Celtics changing their team name from Celtics to the green, Boston Green. I mean, it's just really, I don't know. I don't see the point behind it.
It goes for any professional team. You don't see the Patriots going back to the Bay State Patriots. I mean, like you said, you're trying to establish a fan base in an area that basketball is pretty popular, but it's not the main focus, really.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not really sure what's going through his head making this swap.
I mean,
the only thing I can think of is maybe he's just trying to get some more revenue by,
I mean,
putting out
he
new
says
jerseys.
that they're trying to reestablish the historic brand of Hornets basketball. I mean, I hope they bring back those teal. They had the teal little pinstripe jerseys
just gross
back in the
jerseys.
day.
Just
Those
gross.
things were a little bit ridiculous. So I mean, they're the Hornets again, which is go Hornets.
Yeah,
I guess.
we'll see
I
how
don't really
it
watch
pans out
Charlotte
for 'em.
basketball, but we'll see how they do this year. I guess maybe they last bottom of the league the past couple of years, so maybe this will help them change it. So, Team USA basketball. Do you watch them when they're in the Olympics?
I got to be honest, Evan. I don't. I really don't. I
Okay.
mean,
Well, neither do I.
Just
so-
looking at the squad alone, I mean, who's going to give these guys a run?
I know.
It's not going to be someone from Italy. You know, am I going to tune in to watch Team USA against Kazakhstan?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I mean, you just
They're just loaded.
know that the goal.
The reason I bring that up, Coach Krzyzewski, Coach K from Duke, he's been coaching them.
Unbelievable
He was,
coach.
50-50. Do I want to coach him again 2016 Olympics? Do I not want to? He's coming back. So Coach K leading the troops again. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking of Team USA player, Kevin Durant donated $1 million. It's a lot of money.
Yes.
To the Oklahoma City tornado relief after there's horrible tornadoes that struck that region. So that's a great gesture by Kevin Durant.
I mean, it's tough to hate him.
Yeah,
He's
it really
just-
is. He's like the anti-LeBron.
Yeah, he loves his city. He loves his team, and just an unbelievable gesture. But had you heard what ESPN analyst Darren Rovell said about it?
I think, but I'm not sure.
The other day, he decided to tweet on Durant's generous
The day
donation.
he gave the money?
Yes.
Okay.
He says in his tweet, "Tremendous contribution by Kevin Durant to the Oklahoma tragedy, giving away what he earned in 4 3/4 games this year. True leader."
Wow.
Now,
Talk about
I
sarcastic.
don't see Darren coming out and saying how much he donated.
Yeah. How much is? Yeah. Did he say I gave 1.1?
Nope, decided to stay quiet on that.
So
he's no mathematician here. He doesn't need to break out the calculator and break it down for us what Durant makes per game. It's something really generous that he did, and it makes me sick that he honestly said
it doesn't
something.
matter how much he makes. $1 million is still $1 million, and any dollar helps. So
it's gonna help a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, just unbelievable that.
I can't believe you said that. Pretty disturbing. So, all right. Last, Vinny Del Negro, coach of the Los Angeles Clippers, pretty much now, I think, the better team in LA over the Lakers, fired their coach, Vinny Del Negro, after the playoffs. And CBS Sports article says that Chris Paul, their point guard, was the reason behind that. What do you think about a player having influence with ownership and all that, being able to say, hey, I want this guy gone. I don't think he can lead our team. You know what? Let me get him out of here.
I think it's actually a really big deal. I think your star player should be in direct contact with ownership and the guys who make the big moves. Because if your star player isn't happy and the coaching's just undermining what he's trying to do, or it doesn't fit with his play style, then it's going to dramatically alter the performance of the whole team. So I think having a star make a decision like that is a big deal, and you see it all across the NBA. I mean, with Howard too,
Orlando forcing his way out there.
Yeah.
They fired their coach, Stan Van Gundy, not Jeff. Stan Van Gundy, the other brother, gets out of there. So I mean,
yeah. But what do you think about it? Having a player have that much influence.
The Clippers really are a great team. Most entertaining team, I think, in the NBA. All the alley-oops to Blake,
Blake, yeah.
You'll
see at least one of his dunks on SportsCenter's top 10 every day.
Blake Griffin, great player. They got Chris Paul, probably one of the best point guards in the league. And, Vinny Del Negro coached Chicago before. He wasn't that successful there either. He was gone. I don't think he's a great coach. But, if they get someone a little bit better than him, maybe the Clippers can go farther in the playoffs. But I don't think a player should be able to sway management that much, even though he's your so-called marquee player. So, that's what I got to say about that. Anything else you think about that? Not really?
I just got to disagree with you. I think it's really important that the star player is happy. You don't want him to leave, really. Just look at the Celtics right now. You got ownership really looking and talking with Paul Pierce. Obviously, he and Doc are very close, but Doc's kind of iffy right now. And all he said about it is, I'm coming back unless I say otherwise. But he has to think about it. So
yeah. So, we'll see how that one turns out. All right.
Could we get an update on the hockey game, please?
All right, so the hockey game tied 3-3.
Oh, my.
Unbelievable.
How much is left? How much time's
9:09 left in the third period. What do you think about this?
I hate to hear that. I really do.
Is it bringing back shades of
I'm going to stop you right there. Okay. I don't even want to hear what you're going to have to say. 2010 has been permanently blacked out of my mind.
As it should?
Just absolutely embarrassing having Flyers have that, historical comeback. I guess it was a little early to say sweep. You got to give the fans credit too. Madison Square Garden, it's so iconic. They're going to have some influence on the game. But 3-3, wow, I really don't like to hear that.
And would you look who I said the most disappointing player in the playoffs was? Look who scores. Tyler Seguin. Would you believe it?
On the board.
2 points, goal and assist. 6 shots, 9:54 time on ice. Still not that much compared to Lucic, who has a little under 15. But, for what he's been doing, I guess he stepped it up tonight.
Yeah, but finally decided to show up.
See how this game and this series ends.
I think this is just what he needed to finally, get the spark back in his step. I think ultimately he wants his spot back on his line. So,
So we'll see how this goes. So thanks everyone for tuning in to the very first episode of Sports Chatter TV. Follow us on Twitter at Sports Chatter TV and like our page on Facebook, Sports Chatter TV as well. And come back next week for the second episode of Sports Chatter TV. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.